Hello, I saw The Life of Chuck. My name is Carly Tatiana Panza. This is the Sacred Storytelling Podcast. If you have listened to other episodes, welcome back. If you have not, and then this is your first time, welcome. And even if this isn't your first time, I encourage everyone listening, please like and subscribe to this podcast. Please comment on the episodes. Please share them with people that you think are other fellow movie buffs, as well as leave this podcast a review. Please review this podcast. It helps other people find it. Apparently, it helps with the algorithms. And I realize I have a bunch of people who are listening and telling me they're listening, but I don't have any reviews. So trying to get better about asking for those things. So The Life of Chuck. Let's get into my mini movie review. This is the latest feature film by Mike Flanagan. I'm used to watching his television series. I think this might be his first feature film, but do not quote me on that. I do not know that for sure. This is the first feature film I've ever seen him write and direct. I'm a really big fan of all of his television work. And it was adapted from a short story, a Stephen King short story. So I'm going to get into the gist, and then I will warn you before I get into spoilers if you do not want it spoiled. The acting was extraordinary. I never know how to pronounce his name. He has this very complicated, beautiful African name, Chiwetua Ejiofor, something like that. I know I'm butchering it. I'm a huge fan of his acting. I sound like a Think You Should Leave sketch there. I'm a huge fan of his music and his acting. I saw him as Othello in London, opposite Ewan McGregor playing Iago, which was great. Him, Tom Hiddleston, the young kid that plays Tom Hiddleston, was just super great. I thought that the film, I didn't dislike it, but I thought that I would enjoy it more. And I thought it was very clearly a short story. And, it felt like it was very clearly a short story that had been elongated into a feature film. And I thought I'd get moved more. I definitely had moments where I did get moved, but I think the trailer made me think I was going to be crying the whole time. But you can never predict that. And I haven't read the short story, but part of me was like, it was probably better just as a short story. Do we have to adapt everything? Are we that starved for content that we have to adapt everything? But yeah, there was definitely charm and sentimentality and poeticness. And I really do think it's hit or miss whether you might enjoy it or not, to be completely honest. So, but yeah, it was a unique approach for sure. It was unlike anything that I've seen recently. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it just definitely felt like a short story. I definitely left the theater being like, why did we need that as a film? So I'm going to get into spoilers now. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you do not want it spoiled and you don't want me to talk about the details from this film because you haven't seen it, then you should pause right now. So I actually really did like this notion of was it all in this character's, I had this thought of like, they didn't really explain it, which I didn't mind. I liked this notion of, was it all in his head? Was it all kind of like his memories or like these different dimensions, kind of like this fever dream of not really sure what's reality and not really sure what's real, especially because he was on his deathbed. So if you think about it, if you're about to die, it makes me think about that when you're kind of sick or you're in that kind of fever dream, like, on the kind of flip side of these different dimensions of consciousness. Like you kind of, and they even said at some point, like where he didn't know what was real and what wasn't, where he got to that point. So that actually thought was cool because in the beginning of his life, or the first act, which this film begins with the third act and then ends with the first act. I actually really liked that kind of backwards going forwardsness of it because I definitely wanted to know how it got there. So there were some moments where it felt a little preachy, and I couldn't tell if it was Mike Flanagan. I couldn't tell if it was just a weird adaptation because it's prose, and so much of it was like voiceover too. So I don't know how much was like directly from the short story. And the vision that of himself, of seeing himself and how he died, it just disappeared. It didn't fade, it just disappeared. And it made me think about, I thought that was kind of cool. Me and my husband were talking about that. Very similar to life. You're here one moment and you're alive, and then you're dead the very next moment. It's not a gradual thing. Well, I guess it's a gradual thing, but the dead and alive, it's kind of like a light, like a flip of a switch. I thought the dance sequence with Tom Hiddleston and the drummer was my absolute favorite part. And him learning to dance as a kid, it just brought me so much joy. But yeah, I didn't mind it. I just don't think it's for everyone, and I don't really know if it should have been adapted from a short story. But I laughed with my husband being like, maybe so many books of Stephen King, full-length novels of Stephen King's have been made into these features that all that's left to adapt are his short stories now. So that's my review. If you enjoy this podcast, even if you don't agree with me on my opinions about these various movies, because we all have different opinions, if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to it. Please leave me a review. Please share with other people this podcast, help other people find it. And I hope you tune back in for my mini movie reviews, my mini off-the-cuff movie reviews. This is Carly Tatiana Panza with Sacred Storytelling.